So have you recently been going through some of your ancestors' old boxes of papers, notes, anything of that nature? Well, here's one reason why you probably really should go through it and not throw it out. This episode is called Hidden Sources. So just this past weekend, I was talking to an old friend of mine. She was telling me about going through some of her father's old memorabilia that had recently just been given to her. You see, her father passed away just a few months ago, and it's been hard for her to go through the stuff. Well, she recently started going through it and was coming across all of this neat information. She found photos, letters, old sermons, because he was a pastor, and she was trying to preserve whatever she could, because some of the sermons were written in pencil and already starting to fade. Oh my goodness. So she was trying to preserve what she could. And then she came across these old note cards. She was telling me about them. They had names and dates of just so many people written on these things. Well, since her father was a pastor, he performed weddings and baptisms and other duties that were part of being a pastor. And these cards were his notes, the notes of the weddings that he performed, the people, the bride, the groom, the witnesses, the dates, all kinds of information. Same with the baptisms. It was who he baptized, when they baptized him, if there were any witnesses, just a wealth of information. Oh my goodness. So as she's telling me about this stuff, my mind is just reeling, and I'm saying, oh, please tell me you didn't get rid of these. These are amazing to have. So I told her, please make sure you keep those. And if you want, I can help you and we can scan these in and maybe make them available to a historical society, or even just keep them for, later dates in case there is a chance that maybe someone's record got destroyed. I mean, there's fires and floods all the time. I just recently wrote a blog post about the 1973 fire at the National Archives office in St. Louis. So many military records were destroyed, including my father's. And the only way he could prove that he served was to provide all of the documentation he had from when he originally served. So since this happens all the time, courthouses burn down, records get lost, this may be the only connection that these people have that prove their marriage or their baptism or anything of that nature. So I told her, don't get rid of them. Let's do what we can to preserve these. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, when we think of sources, we usually just think about the records that come from the government and church registries. Well, like I said, what happens if those are destroyed? So pastors' notes are sometimes a great place to look. Old diaries are also wonderful. There is a doctor who kept a diary of the people that he treated, and that helped me with my research for my husband's second great-grandfather's first daughter. She only lived to be, I think, about 3 years old, if I remember correctly. And we knew she died, but this was so long ago. This was back in like 1869. There were no death certificates, and the towns only kept, certain records. There was no details. Well, the doctor that treated her kept a diary, and he laid out everything that was going on, and it just really brought the circumstances to life and made you understand what was going on. So if there are no actual surviving records, these are wonderful troves of information and are sources. So something to consider: if you have an ancestor that did things for the community, they were a pastor, they were a doctor, they served in some type of organization that helped the community, make sure you go through all of their paperwork. I know it's going to be tedious and I know it's going to be time consuming, but you never know what you're going to find in there. It may not mean anything to you, but it could mean the world to someone else. So scan it in, save it for yourself, put it in your files, give it to a historical society. Just don't get rid of it. That's what I'm trying to convey here. So all need to work together to try to preserve as much history as we can. And that's my 2 cents.